Hi folks, so today we want to look at the Kuhn Axis 50.2 spreader. Give you a little bit of an idea how these things work. Obviously they're a fertilizer spreader and single hopper agitator down there in the bottom that I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it does work. They have a scale on them. Right here is the drop point. This is a slide that is run by, there's two motors. There's one right there for that side, and there's another one right there for the other side. There's a bar down there that controls it. And that simply changes where this thing here will drop onto the spreader. And depending on what you're doing and how wide you're spreading, that will change and slide back and forth. Right now I have it bolted and disconnected from the actual motor itself because we were spreading clover, and those clover seeds were getting bound up, and we actually burnt the right side motor out because of that. So if you're doing really small seeds, that might be something you need to look out for as well. And then back here, this is the motor that adjusts the opening to meter out the product. And so each side has a system like that. That way each side can be separately adjusted, and you can have separate drop points, and they will do variable width as well. So this particular model has hydraulic operation. We're on 8420 John Deere. You cannot run this back into your SCV up here, whichever one you have it hooked up to. That's what they say. We did it and it did work. They just say it's gonna mess things up over time. They say you should plumb it into this one right here. That doesn't work. You have to go into not that port, but the port that we did right there. That is the one that you'll need to plumb into for this spreader, because you're running such a high volume of oil that needs to go back to the tractor itself. The computer is located back behind here, and those, of course, check connections and all that stuff on here. If you're running load sense, that's what this hose would be for. There's some more wiring controllers up inside there, and just some other interesting things. We'll go up here and look at the monitor next. We're running Ag Leader and not Green Star. We had run Green Star. This is not connecting, which is great. So I'll have to figure out why it's not connecting again, and we'll come back to you. Okay, so I had to start the tractor. I don't think you have to have the tractor started, but just key on, but for some reason it's working now. So it's just a warning sign. You hit the enter and you acknowledge that. Then you have to, I have the right drop point's not working, so I just hit OK there. At first this whole screen was all messed up and you couldn't see half this side and stuff on the bottom, but after we messed around with it, it did start to work. And so yeah, there's still a few errors, like right there, that 52 doesn't quite line up correctly. I don't know what the deal is with that. The Green Star definitely functioned better with this system than what the Ag Leader is doing, and I'm still new to the Ag Leader, so it's kind of hard to figure that out. So to start the machine, you simply engage your hydraulic, and then you hit spreader and enter. And now you're going to see the RPM calibrating right there. It's set for 700, so it should calibrate to about 700. And now we see our RPM up for both discs right there. They're going to vary a little bit, but they'll kind of even themselves out. And then we would push the start right here to actually start applying products. So now this is turned red, and as we drive along, that would change. I have not figured out how to get section control to work on the Ag Leader yet, but I did have it working on my John Deere. And you know, if you make your outside rounds, when you get to the end, it'll just shut off, and you can turn around and turn back on as you get back into the field. On this system, the agitator, that works. I can get it to do that, but it does not. The agitator motor is overloaded. Yeah, I don't care. It's empty. I know it's not overloaded. So typically on the John Deere, I know it used to work to where this would slide over as you got into point rows, and one side would shut off if you were only using half of it. And on this system, that's not working yet. I'm not sure what I need to change, how I need to fix that, but something's not right yet. So I can go ahead and shut things down, and I can turn off my hydraulics. And that's pretty much the gist of how the thing works. Okay, so you can see here on this field, here's the axis spreader and the agitator side of things. And here's your rate control up here. I had it set for 34.5 pounds. Last I checked it, the last field I was doing about 28 to 30. So it's not accurate. You definitely need to play with the numbers as you go. Unfortunately, the numbers here, that's what I used to go off of on the metering slide. Those numbers no longer, or on this alfalfa, I guess it's not working to watch those, because the app said that should be about 7 for 28 pounds, and it's got to be more like 16 to 18. So that was at 10 miles an hour. So that's not quite accurate. On the clover, when I was spreading clover with the Green Star, that's what I followed, and that was actually pretty close. But here on the agitator, it's either the agitator rate controller or else it's the different product, I'm not sure which. It's definitely not doing the same. So that's just kind of something you gotta pay attention to. The agitator, you can choose 2 different rates, and then you can up that or go less than that pretty easily as you go. And so you just figure up your acres and the pounds you have left, and you just stop every 5 acres or so and refigure things to make sure you're getting close. Otherwise, you really don't know where you're going to be at. Basically, so how to operate this, you'll first come into this home spread button, and then go to fertilizer settings. And you can't, on the Green Star or other machines, you can probably change your application rate from right there. On the agitator, you have to, well, I'm not in a task right now, but you have to do it from the agitator screen up on the side column when you're doing a field. You can change your width there, flow factor, the drop point, which this stuff is all given to you when you get the app, when you download the app to tell you different rates. Right now I'm set for alfalfa. I have not changed my drop point. That should be set 7.5, or sorry, 5.5. So we just hit the arrow there, and you have disc speed, which you'll change that to match. And you have your spreading blades. And you can do your boundary stuff down there, and mounting height right there. And then other information if you want to. Machine settings, fast emptying, we just simply dump things out. Here you can zero out your scales on the machine. You can do some tests and diagnostics and service. You better get a hold of the service rep if you're going to be messing with that stuff. I used to know how to do it. I think you can still do a lot of it. But if you buy a used machine, you're going to have to come through here and you're going to mess with stuff. It's just a guarantee. You're not going to have a simple plug and play and it's going to work the first time, unless it came from a Kuhn dealer that had it all fixed up and ready to go. If you go back here to the work screen, here's something that took me a bit to figure out. So you have your rate set in there. I had 25 pounds, and so I can tell here on the bottom, this is how many pounds left in my hopper. So that's a scale. If I would be running the field and do 10 acres, so that should be 250 pounds depleted, and it's going to give or take 20 pounds pretty easily, if not 40. And when I see that, that's off. It's either too high or too low. I can come right up here to the plus and minus, and I can change that, and that would change the amount it's going to spread. And so on the ag leader, of course, we'll have to go back to the field page and change it from there, because all the rates controlled from the ag leader side instead of the Kuhn side. But what you can do is you can watch for this top number right there. That's going to be your metered slide opening, how far it's opening up. And on your app that you have on your phone, that will tell you about where it should be for the mile per hour you've inputted into the system. And so as long as that's close to what the app is saying, you should be it should be pretty easy for you to run that and know where you're at, as long as that's close. If that's pretty far off from what the app is saying, then you probably need to adjust your settings, because that's going to matter more than what your input says you're actually putting on. So if that number is close to accurate, then you're probably getting fairly close. So I should note that that works on the green star if you're applying something like clover or alfalfa that has a very low rate and you're attempting to spread 8 pounds to the acre or 10 pounds to the acre maybe. With higher applications, when you're spreading 50, 100, maybe even 25, the spinners can feel that weight and they can adjust the meter to work according to that. That's how this machine works, is it feels the weight through the spinners and adjusts accordingly. Only on low applications will it give you a metered slide output to kind of gauge it, because it can't feel that low of rate. So here I'm spreading MAP, and I have the ag leader in command monitor. The Integra would work for it as well. It's not as handy for sure, but it does work. It just might give you some issues. I found out with the ag leader, it is extremely important to have your correct number of sections. For 100 foot, I'm running 16 sections. 80 foot, you run 16, but 60, I think you would go to 14. Otherwise, it messes up with your mapping and it's just a pain. But this works pretty good because I can do split stream like that and still get to my controls while seeing my map. I'm doing variable rate right now, so that's been working pretty good. Overall, I really like it now that I got used to how it operates. The ag leader side, it doesn't talk to it quite like the John Deere. The John Deere would simply allow the Kuhn spreadsheet here to control everything from mapping to rate control. But here on the ag leader, I'd have to do the rate control from the ag leader side. So that's not quite as nice, but it does work. And I've had a total of 6,500 pounds in here, which is enough for this tractor to handle. You could go to 7,000, and if I had more weights, I probably would do that, but it's plenty heavy as it is. So I'm pretty satisfied with simply running at 6,500. That's enough for me. I guess you want to see the map there, how it does variable width there, and everything works like it should. One thing about this spreader is it does not have dual compartments, so you cannot do multi-product. You have to do a single product at a time, which is fine because they do spread different. And if you're doing variable rate, that works so much better. And you can go in here and you can choose fertilizer settings. And if I go to fertilizer chart, here it gives me all the presets that I already have set in here. As you can see, map is my lowest one. It gives me my width and stuff like that already preset. And I can just choose those, and it automatically sets the machine for me. And I can set a whole bunch more. There's a whole lot of options there. But yeah, Very nice once you get used to it. It just takes a long time to understand it and learn how to operate it completely. As you can see, here's my rate control for the ag reader side of things, and you have to go into that to control the rate. Another thing I want to point out here is these buttons right there. If you push those, it will change and adjust the width of your spread pattern there, and you can manually just bump the section controls like that on each side, depending on how you want to spread. So right here, I'm coming up to a terrace. I don't want to spread into the terrace. That's just going to be a pain, and it's just going to be a waste of fertilizer. So I'm going to bump this over, and plus that one more time. And now I'm not spreading into my terrace. Got pretty close there, but it didn't quite hit anything. So that's how you can do that to